Hello. Hello, hello. What's up, my family? All right, y'all. I know y'all be bearing with me with my new setups. So I appreciate. Hey, y'all. I see y'all coming in now. I was just saying, I'm trying out some new setups. So thank you for your flexibility. Thank you for your patience with me and my technology. Let me know if y'all can hear me better. I heard there were some echo challenges in some of my previous videos. So I'm trying this new out now, and we're gonna see how it rocks this week. So let me know what y'all think. Welcome, come on, join on in. I'm so glad to see you all here. This is Get Your Life. We are here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, where I am breaking down all those things that are getting in the way of you living the life you really want for yourself. My name is Dr. Parsons. I'm the founder and director of Authentically Me, and that is what we are all about. If you haven't already, please make sure you're following me, because I'm telling y'all, I'm here talking to you every day, giving you all the tips, the tools, the strategies to break through all those barriers and those chains that are holding you back, so that you can have that dream life that you've always wanted. I want y'all to actually, before we jump in, we about to do some celebrating, y'all, because your girl just passed her licensing exam. I'm so hyped that after months and months of studying, passed what's called the EPPP, which is our licensing exam in psychology. So I am official now. Thank you so much for everybody who supported me on this journey. I am just so honored to be in this place and to allow all these tools and training to flow through me to you. Like that is what this is all about, because it means nothing if I can't share it. So let me know what y'all do today, what y'all celebrating. Like, I want to be able to acknowledge all y'all work too. Let me know what you've been doing today to take steps towards your dreams and the things that you care about most. Because we a family, y'all. We about lifting each other up. So today, okay, this is some important stuff. Today's topic is leaving people behind. What do we do with our fears of leaving those people behind? Like when we're trying to go after our dreams, when we know there's something more for us out there, but what does that mean about all of our relationships? What does that mean about those people that we hold most dear, those people who we care most about? Like, what's going to happen to those? And I keep hearing like, you know, either I'm really afraid, like I'm afraid that people are going to leave me, or I'm afraid that I might outgrow people in this journey. And what does that mean? And like, how is that holding you back? And I just have to share, like, I so empathize with that space that you're in, you know, like my fears of what other people thought about me, just in general, like other people's opinions, kept me stuck for years and kept me in a place of like, not only always living for other people, but like constantly the cognitive work of like evaluating, checking in, trying to be like kind of hyper vigilant of how the things I was doing was mapping onto what I thought people's expectations of me were, what their reactions of those things were, what the feedback of it, how did I have to then shift and change and, you know, shift into the thing that I thought they then wanted me to be. And first of all, that's exhausting. You know, it takes a lot out of a person, and also it then like keeps you confined to your mental idea of somebody's expectations of you. And I lived in that place for so long, and I lived in that place knowing that there was more, knowing that there was something else, there was another way that I could be living that could feel free, where I didn't have to feel that weight at all times. And I've gotten to that place. You know, I've talked about a lot how I've been through an intensive healing journey. I've been through the ringer, y'all. I shared like my healing journey was sparked by the sudden unexpected loss of my partner. And in that space, like when your whole world is rocked, right? And like the weight and heaviness of the grief that comes with something like that, just living is work. Just surviving takes energy and time. It takes so much of it that I didn't have enough left over. And gratefully, actually, I didn't have enough left over to like maintain all those other images. Like try to figure out what other people thought, or to care about what other people thought, or to be managing myself in those spaces. And that, I realized, was the freedom I was searching for. Like no longer holding on to my, just constant need for other people to approve of me. That was a huge part of my journey to where I am now, of this just peace, of this freedom, of this liberation that I'm sharing with you all. And so I learned some things. I learned some things in that process because I did let go. I did shift and start living for myself. I did, no longer allow those fears to hold me back. And so I have experience now in what really happens versus what I was so afraid was going to happen. And that's what we talk about today. That's what I'm going to share with you today. What is the real about it, okay? From my perspective, the lens that I'm taking is having lived through that. Having been in the place of, I'm afraid of losing these people that I love most. And I'm holding myself back because of that fear to a place where I no longer do that. So we're going to talk about everything that happens in between tonight, okay? So here we go. We're jumping in. All right. So let me tell you, I'm going to break down. Because sometimes we talk about we have these fears, right? And we will say we'll be able to articulate them, but like we don't really think about what we're saying. So we're going to start with that. We're going to start with what this really means when you say, I'm afraid of losing people. I'm afraid that if I go after my dreams, the relationships that I care most about are going to end. So that means there's two options, okay? Option one is that those people who are close to you, those relationships that you're talking about, that person is what you're speculating is that they might end your relationship if you go after your dreams. That's the first choice of what you're saying, right? The second option, the second thing that might happen that people are afraid of or worried about is that you are going to outgrow or move on to make the choice of moving on from the relationship if you go after your dreams. Okay? So let me break down what those two options really mean. So, because this is the fear, right? We say that's the fear. We are able to put words to that, but then we just move on as if that's okay without really breaking down what that means. What that means is, either way, in either of those situations, you're saying your relationships that you care most about, that you are willing to sacrifice yourself for, really, that those relationships are contingent on you being a smaller version of yourself than you can be. You're saying that those relationships can only exist, right? Can only survive if you hold yourself back. Do y'all hear that? So when you put it in those words, you gotta stop and think, like, is that okay? Like, is that okay with you that those relationships are only stable enough to exist if you are not your full self? What would you tell your child if they said to you, okay, I'm in this relationship that I really care about, but it's only going to last, it's only going to exist if I, shrink in some way? What would you say? What would you say to your best friend? What would you say to somebody else that you love and care about if they came to you with that same problem and said, hey, I'm holding myself back for this relationship, and I'm afraid it's going to end if I really live up to the person that I can be. That this person might either leave me or that I might leave them. What would you say? Those are the things that you have to say to yourself. Because when you really, exactly, run like Forrest Gump. You hear that? Because what you're saying, what you're acknowledging is that relationship isn't worthy of all of you. That relationship is not worthy of all of you. Okay? Because that's what you're doing. You are reducing yourself, and you're saying, not only are you saying that I have to reduce myself to be in this relationship, you're saying this relationship is worth me reducing myself. Come on now, we really got to break these things down so that we can challenge ourselves. When you say them out loud, it's like, really? Is that really the case? Am I actually okay with that? That's what you have to ask yourself. Are you okay with being in relationships that are contingent on you being a smaller version of yourself? I don't know anybody who would say that they're okay with that. I don't know anybody who would say that's even a real relationship. Because you're putting on a falsehood, right? Like you are fitting in, you are changing yourself, you are holding yourself back to make a relationship work rather than being who you are and then allowing healthy, genuine relationships to grow from that. Right? Okay? Like those are the things that you really need to be thinking about. Like what are the choices that you're doing? What do they mean? And are you okay with that? And let me tell you what I had to make peace with. The thing that I really had to sit down and address in myself in my journey to, freedom. And there were two things, right? And this comes to that point. When I sat down and asked myself those questions, I recognized that I was going to have to walk away from certain relationships in my life. And the reason that I was going to have to walk away from them is because in that reduced state of myself, in the place where I was holding up masks to be somebody that I really wasn't, part of that was that I was ignoring red flags in somebody else's presentation that were not aligning with my truth. I was saying, okay, this part of you really isn't okay with me, but I'm willing to ignore that for sake of us being connected. And I made the decision, I'm no longer willing to compromise that. I'm no longer willing to look the other way at the parts of you that aren't okay with me, that do not ignite my soul, that do not align with my truth, right? That do not mesh with me. And it's not, here's really the thing. That doesn't mean that you're better than that person. That doesn't mean that that there's something there that somehow there's something wrong with them. It means that you two do not align. And in the process of that recognition, rather than accepting that, you have shifted yourself. If you really think about this as an alignment, you have almost broken pieces of yourself to force an alignment. And now what you're going to say instead is, I'm no longer willing to do that. I'm willing to recognize that we do not mesh and allow that to be our reality. Okay? So there's going to be a space where there may be relationships that you will have to walk away with, and you have to be okay with that. And here's the beauty of it. That doesn't mean that relationship wasn't meaningful. That doesn't mean that, that person is any, less than you. That doesn't mean that they haven't still added some value to your life. That doesn't mean that you haven't learned anything from the experience of being together, right? What it means is you are now recognizing that you all do not align, And you are now deciding that you are not willing to reduce yourself to force that alignment. That's the truth of what that means. Okay? The second thing that I had to accept as well, the second part of it, was knowing that people were going to walk away from me. So that's the other end of this, right? There's a part of me saying, I know that in my journey to freedom, I'm going to walk away from some people that no longer, or that I know don't align with my truth, right? They probably never have, but I accepted it in the past. And the other aspect of it is that people are going to walk away from you. And there's going to be a couple reasons for that. One is going to be they now have the right to assess this new person that's coming out of you, right? Because before they've been interacting with your mask. And this is like the irony of it all, is that you've been trying to hold on to these relationships, but you're doing that by forcing somebody, by in many ways lying to somebody about who you really are. So you're trapping them into lying a falsehood. So now that you're going to show them the truth, right, who you really are, okay, then they have the right to say, oh, I actually I don't align with this person. That's okay. Because what that means is they never really aligned with you. You both just thought you did because you were pretending to be somebody else. It's like, oh, I was acting this whole time and convincing us both that we were cool. And now I'm not going to do that anymore. And that might mean that you don't actually like, or you're not actually okay with this relationship. That is their right. Okay? The other aspect of it, and this one, I always go back to the quote, and my late partner, he said this, and this sticks in my head, so I'm going to read this to y'all, because he used to say these words that would just cut straight to your soul. He would talk sometimes in ways where you just knew it was God speaking through him. And this is one of those times, right, where just how profound this quote is, I just always hold it so dear to my heart. It just so captures this message for me. So what Kokai used to say was, and I'm reading this now, so sometimes people aren't ready for you. They will cut you out of their lives, demonize you, or try to bring you down. And not because you are unworthy, but because your light is blinding in their world of darkness. And I always get choked up hearing those words, because it speaks such truth, right? It's this space of recognizing that everyone is in their own time, in their own journey. And sometimes where you are is too bright for where somebody else is. And just like, when you first wake up in the morning and if somebody shines a flashlight, imagine that. If you just waking up, somebody shining a flashlight in your eyes, you're like, whoa. And there's nothing wrong with that light, right? Like, we need light, but in that time, in that space, in that moment, I'm not ready for that light. And the wisdom, like, this is the other part, the wisdom comes when you meet those people and keep shining anyway. So even if those people are already in your life, and as you break free, you realize that your brightness, that they might be kind of pushing against that, you keep shining. And what I've seen over and over in my story is that sometimes they will adjust. Like, just like I said, when you wake up and it's bright, I just need a minute. Like, let me just get my eyes adjusted and ready for daytime, and then I can come back around. You'll be surprised how many people come back around, right, in their own time. When you keep your heart in a place of love, right? And when you recognize that what people are doing on their own journey really has absolutely nothing to do with you, so that you don't have to build up that resentment and that, the hatred and the anger around it, you'll be surprised how many of those relationships you ultimately end up rekindling. And you can then keep your head held high knowing you aren't shrinking yourself to make that relationship happen. You aren't reducing who you are. You aren't sacrificing your life for that relationship to exist. Okay? That's the real beauty of it. That's what I love so much about the peace in going for your dreams regardless, because otherwise what you're saying is whatever it is that you're afraid of, that's getting in your way, that's blocking your path, you're saying that is worth more than my life, because I'm literally giving up the life that I'm capable of for that thing. Okay? So that's what you need. Those are the spaces you need to get to. Okay? And you may be wondering, you may be asking, okay, but how, right? Like it can feel, good and empowering in the moment to say, okay, yeah, like I'm okay with walking away and I'm okay with them leaving me too, but there's a reason why these things are hard. Those are strong emotions, right? There's a reason why you've been stuck in that place. So I'm gonna tell you, like, how did I get from one place to the next? How did I get from, okay, the fear of what other people think or what other people want to where I am now of like no longer allowing those things to stop me? And this is what you're gonna do, okay? Because I tell y'all every week, I'm giving you real tools, real things to do. This is what you're going to do. I want you to ask yourself, this part's probably gonna be the easy question, right? We're gonna go in layers. So you might wanna write this down. The first question you're asking yourself is, what are you really afraid of? And if you're a journaler, you might give yourself permission to like really write that out, because you'd be surprised what comes out, okay? But even if you're thinking just a surface level, okay, I'm afraid of losing the people close to me, or I'm afraid of outgrowing the people in my circle, okay? Then you're going to ask a second layer question. You're going to ask yourself, why does that scare you? Why does that scare you? And that's the way where I just need you to be just open and honest, brutally honest with yourself. Because that's when you're going to start getting out the things that your mind is feeding you. Like, if I lose those relationships, if I outgrow those relationships, that means I'm a traitor. Or that means I won't have anybody else. I'm going to be alone. Or, I owe them. They were there for me when I really needed them, so I have to stay. Right? Tell yourself the truth. What are the things your mind tells you about why you should be afraid of either those people leaving you or you outgrowing those relationships? What are the things that come up? Because that's what's really keeping you stuck, okay? And then, here's the thing, y'all. What you need to understand is those things are lies. If you haven't been with me every week, your mind speaks to you. I talk a lot about how your mind's job is to protect you. The problem is it works on overdrive and it doesn't have like the appropriate threshold for actual risk. That means it lies to you often. The thoughts that are running through your head, often they are not true. And if you accept everyone hook, line, and sinker as if it's, a validated fact, you're going to be pushed off path, okay? So you have to recognize, what are those things my mind is telling me? Okay, I know my mind, she just talks to me in a place of trying to protect me, but she lies. She lies all the time. She's just in my ear lying, okay? So your brain is telling you something about why you should be afraid of losing those relationships that's probably not true. And your job is to pick that thought out and give your mind back the truth, okay? And I'm going to tell you how you're going to do that. So you're going to, once you write that out, once you're really clear for yourself about, okay, what is that thought? Like, why am I actually afraid of this? Okay, then, and this is the process I really want you to do it, because when you really break it down, here's the thing, your mind works 24/7. So it's trying to convince you of those lies non-stop. So if you want a fighting chance at pushing back or at giving your mind an alternative, giving yourself another choice, you have to actually go through the process and do the work too. Okay? You're not going to be doing it 24/7, but you have to at least write something out, go through the steps thoroughly to give yourself an alternative shift. Okay? So the next question you're going to ask, right, and this is something your mind's going to do well, you're going to say, what have I seen or been told or experienced that makes me believe this lie? Whatever that thing is, your mind's telling you, oh, well, you have to be loyal because they held you down when you were down and out, or they're gonna leave you and then you're gonna be all alone, or you're not gonna have anybody to depend on, you're not gonna have anybody around you, or that just means that you think you're better than everyone. Whatever that thing is, why do you believe that lie? Who's told you that lie? What experiences have you been through that reinforce that lie? What else have you seen in the world? What has been modeled for you to tell you that lie is true, right? Because these lies, our mind comes up with them. Our mind overgeneralizes, yes. Our mind is, a false alarm many times, yes, but it usually comes from an experience. Maybe something is explicit as somebody literally said to you, oh, you about to go out in the world and think you bad. Now what? Somebody hurt you in that way. And now that voice is amplified, screaming at you that lie. When really that's just rooted in somebody else's fears and insecurities. That don't got nothing to do with you. All right? So you're going to write that list out. And then, this is the killer, y'all. This is the really important part. Then you're going to say, what can I say back to my mind to expose that lie? And what you are doing, this is where you are really pushing and challenging yourself to step outside of your typical, framework of just whatever runs through my mind they accept. And you are going to challenge. Like, think of yourself like an attorney, like now you are cross-examining that lie. Okay? Your mind is on the witness stand. You're like, hold up. But if you think that I'm going to be such a traitor, what about every way that I've ever been loyal my entire life? What about all the times that I've shown up to be there for them? What about, and I want you to list out all the evidence that you have that's a lie, that thing that your mind is telling you. And really push yourself, because this might be hard for some of you all. If you've never questioned your mind, you might be like, oh, I can list out all the reasons why I believe this, but you have to really put yourself in the position of having to prove this wrong. Do this work. Write it out for yourself, because when you write it out, then your mind starts to recalibrate, like, oh, wait a second. I might have been tripping. You were just so tunnel vision, only looking at all the experiences and the messages or the voices who told you that you can't do something, or that you are not good enough in some way, or something that's wrong with you, that you are missing the bigger picture, the reality, all the things that you do, that you experience, that you have evidence, have given yourself evidence of the contrary. All right? So you have to write out those reasons. There you go. She said, I've been a better friend than I have ever received. And when you actually sit down and write that out, and when you think about, okay, so I'm over here being afraid that somebody's going to think that I'm not a good friend, let me tell myself all the ways that I'm an amazing friend. Probably even more so than the friendships that I accept. Okay? So tell yourself the truth. And then I want you to sit back and look at that bigger picture. You had the lie, that first statement, right? And then you see all the reasons, all the experiences, all the voices in your head, and or where those voices came from, of why that lie came about, why your mind is telling you that lie. Then you shifted gears. You taken on, okay, I'm now going to prove that lie wrong. I'm going to write out all the reasons why I know that it's a lie. And now that you see the bigger picture, I want you to rewrite a statement that's the truth. You're going to rewrite, you're going to tell your mind, actually, that's wrong. Here is the truth. And I bet in this process, part of that is going to free you of the emotional experience of fear that's holding you back. Because the fear is coming from the lie. So when you settle your body into the truth, it can relax a little bit. And you can then use that as power to take a step forward in your goals. All right? This is the way of teaching your mind how to work for you, rather than just reacting to whatever your mind gives you. This is the process of making sure that you move in truth, rather than just however things flow in this moment. Because oftentimes that means following whatever lie your mind is feeding you. And you get lost in the process. You're committed to anchoring yourself in your own truth, so that you can live to be the best person, the best version of yourself, the fullest version of yourself, without limitations, without restraints. Especially when you know there's more out there. We are no longer willing to make the choice to be small for sake of saving a relationship. Because I'm telling you, I told y'all what that really means. What you're saying is that relationship is contingent on me being a reduced version of myself. And if you don't know that's okay, let me tell you, that is not okay. It is not okay for any relationship to be contingent on you being a reduced version of yourself. You are allowed to be your full self. And any relationship that's worthy of your full self, will be able to exist and adapt to that. If either you need to walk away or they need to walk away, it's not the time or the space or the match for that relationship to exist. And that's okay. That's okay. We not in close relationships with everybody at all times. Relationships shift and they change and they move. When you are so worried about keeping things the same, you are forcing yourself in many ways to move backwards, because time is always moving forward, right? So you are trying to stay stagnant in a world that's progressing, that's holding yourself back. Lean into the change, because you'd be surprised at the evolution that comes with change. Change ain't always a bad thing, y'all. Okay? All right, I see you. She said, I'm going to start. I'm going to walk away. Okay? What that means is, and it's not always, you don't always have to distance yourself immediately. What you have to do is live as your full self. And know that might come with you having to walk away. Some of y'all might already know. No, I know there's this one relationship I need to leave that. If you know that, go on. But do it knowing that you are making the choice to honor yourself. You are making the choice to live as your full self, because you deserve that. You absolutely deserve that. Let me know, what questions do you have? Like I said, I've walked through that journey. I've been on one side of having all those fears of always monitoring what other people thought about me, and just being so sucked into trying to manipulate myself into being the person that somebody else wanted. And now I have shed those layers. Those things no longer control my decisions and my choices. I'm in this new space now where I'm challenging myself in every moment to really check in with, what do I actually want in this moment? What am I desiring in this moment? And then giving myself permission to do that very thing. Giving myself permission to have what I want. Right? Because we've been brainwashed into this way of thinking that if you center yourself that you are somehow selfish. Right? It's not right. It's okay to say like, oh, I have needs, that I have desires and wants. And it's okay to give yourself that life. Going through the world like draining yourself to fuel other people is no way to live. It's no way to live. And the irony is, you have a greater reach with a greater impact when you start with fueling yourself and then overflowing into those people that you love. That's what we're all about here at Authentically Me. And I am just so honored to be a part of this journey. As those who have been with me week by week, I'm developing a program where you all can learn all those strategies, all those tools, those resources. As things come along, I'm sharing them with you. I'll have some new free worksheets coming out for you soon, so please stay tuned for those. If you haven't already, please make sure you're following me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Authentically Me _live free. And this space is for you. This space is for you. So if you have questions, if you have ideas, if you have topics that you really want me to dive into, please reach out. You can DM me. You can leave comments on my pictures and posts. I want this to be useful. I want this to be a space where you are getting, what you really need, the tools that you really need, from that I can share from my expertise, my training, my background, and my personal experiences. Because, when you really think about it, I started this space for me because I didn't feel like there was any place where I could be whole. And so I was like, I'm going to start a space where I can be whole. And I hope that by showing up in my freedom, that inspires yours. So thank you all for being with me tonight. I'll be back next Wednesday, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Check in with Dr. Parsons, where you can get your life. I'm going to show up with the tools, skills, and resources to teach you how to drop those masks and live as your genuine and authentic self. All right, y'all. Peace.